We're live!
Hey, it's working. Happy Fez Friday, everyone. It is Friday, August 9th. My name is Jason. This is I'm your Fezmonger, and this is the state of the studio. We're back after a couple of weeks, and I've completely forgot what I do. I am joined, thankfully, by the Fez Mademoiselle Ruth.
Hello.
Have not talked to her in a couple of weeks either, so we're in for a treat here.
Treats.
Yes. And we have our tea. We have our Fezes. We are ready to talk about all that has gone down the last couple of weeks. First and foremost, you may have noticed a complete lack of updates while we were on the road. Did not come up with a good solution for doing live streaming. So I think the goal this year is just going to have to come up with 1,000 followers on YouTube so I can just stream from YouTube. It just didn't seem that feasible. I shot video. I have not edited the video. I did some editing, but uploading it to YouTube and getting it posted in time just became a hassle. The days are long at Gen Con, and we were exhausted by the end of the day, so it just really didn't work out. So that is pretty much my excuses at this point for why you didn't see a whole lot being posted while we were on the road. You had a bunch of adventures while we were gone.
I kind of really did.
So there's a lot going on that we need to catch up on. And we have a show coming up in like 5 days. So there's still a lot going on in the studio as it is.
Oh my gosh, everything's so coming up.
Yeah. The good news is, as far as the restock is concerned, it's not as bad as I thought it might be. There was a number of things that we had prepped to go in advance. So I have a stack of the Tesla coils, non-glow edition. Those are ready to be sewn up. They're already embroidered, so they're ready to be sewn up. That'll be the first thing. Maya's over on the machines right now, and she is getting them threaded up to start restocking stuff. Yep. So she's running back and forth in the background, and then Ruth and I will be sewing all day today and tomorrow, and I'll continue sewing throughout the week, try to get everything ready. And like I said, not nearly as bad as it could have been. A lot of stuff that we had from Gen Con is just like missing a size, which is one of those weird things that I keep looking at. For whatever reason, like one design, we totally got wiped out of 2Xs. But another design, we sold no 2Xs, got wiped out of like larges. So it's this weird, like not even across the board sales. It's like one size head attacks one style.
You know, you should keep track of that because that's fascinating.
Well, it used to be that I'd be able to tell like this show has larger sizes, this show has smaller sizes.
Wow.
But lately,
you need to keep track of that.
Gen Con was usually very large heads, and then like when we did Denver, it'd be really small heads, and I assumed it was the altitude thing.
Right, all that pressure.
But this year at Gen Con, there were a number of designs that we sold out of the smaller size.
Maybe they came from Denver.
And they didn't. That's possible because we don't go to Denver anymore, so they have to meet us somewhere. So it's one of those things where I just have to tackle like a few sizes. Like I need an XLs and 2Xs of a design to get it back up to show counts. A lot of designs we really pumped up, so we had plenty of the goats, the flying vacuum tube. We did a lot of those, and yet like one size got completely wiped out of the flying vacuum tube, and one size got completely wiped out of another design. So it's really just doing piecemeal restocks for Silicon Valley. We have a much smaller booth at Silicon Valley, so there's a number of designs that just simply won't be going to the next show. And that's kind of the case. Our next 3 shows are actually smaller booths. So we'll be doing the kind of condensed 7 shelves instead of the full-size 10 shelves that we've done the last couple shows. So we have Silicon Valley. Son of Monsterpalooza is a nice, tight little space. And then we have the Gaslight in San Diego at the end of September. New hotel, so I don't really know what to expect as far as the floor plan is there. But again, another kind of focused, smaller show. So that's kind of where we're at. I know a number of you have ordered Interocitors or ordered the Rakshasa Fez. We will be working on getting those stocked up and sent out. The Interocitors will be a lot easier than the Rakshasa. That's a longer embroidery time and also the extra effort it takes to process the fabric for the tips. But I'm going to try to get those done and to Joe before we leave. If not, that'll be in the following week. I'll do what I can to get all those taken care of. So, and we are restocking Interocitor and bringing that to San Jose for Silicon Valley because science. So there's a number. It's kind of a NASA themed show, so they have a lot of space and a lot of science that mixes in with the Comic-Con there. And I like to lean into the science and the science fiction for that, just to see how it goes. So, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. We're doing a lot of just restocking. So if you go to the website, you're going to notice that all of the made to order, back order stuff has been turned off. We just don't have enough time to deal with that and deal with getting all of the orders that came in the last couple of weeks and the all the Patreon exclusive stuff that's happened. So we're going to keep that off. And then we have almost a month break between Silicon Valley and Son of Monsterpalooza. So it's
Close.
it's mid,
About 3
yeah, like
weeks.
3.5 weeks.
It's gonna go quick.
Oh God, yeah, it'll go quickly. I know that, but it'll be a lot less stressful than the last couple of
And
jumps.
then we have what, 2 weeks before? I'm guessing, madly guessing, before Gaslight.
Yeah, we have a weekend break. So Son of Monsterpalooza is in Burbank, so we go home every night. We'll be home Sunday. Then we have a week break. So that weekend we're still in town, and then we head down to San Diego. I think Thursday.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a Thursday. Might be a Wednesday. So like a week and a half of production time between those shows.
I talked to someone. Okay, I can, give you her information. She's interested in. She said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Would Fezzarama be interested in doing a class for Gaslight?"
Oh, well, then we will have to think about that.
Yes.
We might have some time. I have ideas. There was mentioning of doing a class at the Gaslight Expo in the last year, and I have a couple ideas. These are things I want to share with you guys. So running a class would actually be a really good way to kind of get our minds on the same page, and then we can shoot a video and start working on those things.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I have a couple ideas. That would be really the question for doing classes is preparing materials. So how much can the class get accomplished?
And how
in the
much?
time.
How far can we send them in the limited time we
Right.
have, and how much time can we have, and all that?
Yeah. So that's still. I have 2 ideas really that I'm working on. And it's just a matter of trying to figure out which one we can get the most bang for the buck kind of scenario. So we'll talk about that as we go forward on those things. So let's kind of back up and talk about the last couple of weeks. We hit the road on the 25th or 26th, I believe.
Yes.
So we drove. It was 5 days out. We took an extra day to stay in Denver, and there's 2 really cool things that we did. The Saturday night, we went to the Lyrics Born concert. It was a free concert, although we paid for VIP, which was really nice. Because it was raining and the VIP was couches underneath awnings. So we just hung out there. Once Lyrics Born got on stage, I was up at the front of the stage, jumping around for an hour and a half.
Who cares?
Yeah, so the VIP thing was just someplace my stuff was at. But that was a great show, really exhausting because I'm old and I shouldn't be jumping around at a show like that. But I was doing it nonetheless.
Or you should do it more.
Or I should do it more. That's really the problem is either I need to stop going to concerts or I need to start going to more concerts than just once a year. Or jump around more. Then on Sunday, we just kicked it in Denver, hung out with our good friend Jeff, who I've known since like beginning of high school. His nephew was in town and he was trying to think of something that we could all do together that would be fun. And his nephew was into escape rooms. So Maya and I did our first escape room in Denver. We beat it. We had 8 minutes left over.
Out of what, an hour?
Out of an hour.
That's really good.
They gave us 3 hints. So our attitude was just use the hints because we wanted to get this kid a win. So Jeff's like 16-year-old nephew, I don't think had won one of these yet. So I was really focused on collecting him a win. It was a lot of fun. I come at this thing from a different point of view because I think of it from an artistic theatrical point of view, and I find a lot of interesting challenges in trying to create an escape room. The benefit here is one of our good friends designs escape rooms, and I'm going to get him and sit down and do a podcast with him in the future so that we can talk about his work in escape rooms. I didn't get to visit him when we were driving through Vegas because he was flying back from an escape room conference where he was given a presentation there. So it's something I want to talk about more. And I know Ruth enjoys escape rooms. So I'm thinking we may have to start doing these things and doing some escape rooms because we actually did have a lot of fun. What was interesting was Chase, Jeff's nephew, immediately was like just scouring to get everything out in the open. So it was, we basically just started turning over this room.
Well, yeah.
It was really kind of cool because the theme was a train car. So you were on a train solving a mystery on a train. So we had a small room that we started in with a door that led to another room that led to another room. So you kind of had that train car feel. But Chase immediately was like collecting all the puzzle pieces he could find. So while like they were doing the intro video, but we basically just rolled the room, found everything, and then got really focused in on just cracking the puzzles.
Awesome.
It was pretty straightforward as far as its narrative was concerned. Like you didn't really have to pay attention to the storyline because it was really just find codes that would give you padlocks. So it was like find keys, find 3 to 6 digit number codes, that kind of thing. So it was a lot of just finding keypad dials, that up, down, left, right kind of codes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and it's something that I'd love to explore and talk to some of the designers about, because I find it really curious from a theatrical standpoint that you're making a wholly interactive theater piece where there is no actors really. It's all in the environment. So artistically and creatively, I find them really interesting, and I've been kind of standoffish about doing them just because I didn't want to be disappointed in how it works. So like creating its own like expectation in my own head about how they may function. So from there, it was driving on. We did get to stop and visit with a couple of the Patreon members. Deech, a good friend of ours, has joined the Patreon. You'll see him popping up on the Discord channel if you're one of the higher levels. And we'll be talking and planning and doing some cool stuff in the future with that. We got into Indianapolis, they closed the freeway. So there's a whole construction thing on the main freeway into Indianapolis. So we spent the last like hour just driving surface streets into Indianapolis. Got there in like 20 minutes to try to unload the truck. So I got the heaviest stuff. I got the rack off the back of the truck, and I got the Ravelli, the upright backdrop box. Drug those in before they closed down the place. And then the next day was load in and our trip to the Inferno Room. If you haven't been following what was going on with our designs, we created the Rakshasa Fez partly as a like promo thing to try out going to the Inferno Room, which is the Indianapolis Tiki Bar, the night before Gen Con. We had no proof of concept here. We had no idea if it was going to work.
So is this exclusively a pre-Gen Con event?
It was literally like we were just going to go to a tiki bar and see what happened. So you didn't have to be Gen Con, like you didn't have to have a badge to get in.
Anyone could come in.
Yeah.
But it was kind of promoted as.
Well, we just said we're going to do it the night before Gen Con because that was the one night we could do it.
It's just kind of a Fez-orama thing.
Yeah, it was a Fez. It was basically a Fez meetup. I decided I'd bring the limited edition. I would do a limited edition that would be the Tiki theme for Gen Con this year. I would bring that as kind of an incentive to get people to try out to go to this bar. Ed, the owner, didn't really know if anybody of his regulars would be interested in Fezes, because he said, I haven't really seen many people wearing Fezes aside from him. He's been wearing Fezes at his bars for ages. But he wasn't sure about doing like a special Inferno Room event.
They just have to be indoctrinated.
So, well, we did, because by the end of the night, Ed was basically saying, oh, we're doing this again next year. And of the 37 Fezes that we had time to make before we went to Gen Con, 33 of them sold at the bar, which created its own problem, which was the Gen Con exclusive had 4 3Xs for the morning of Gen Con opening. So like the first people to walk up to our booth were like, I'm sorry, it's already sold out. You should have known about the secret party the night before, which was not ideal, but kind of what we were up against. So the idea next year, we're definitely going to do an Inferno Room exclusive and then a Gen Con exclusive, because for the people who really like to collect numbered editions, there was some disappointment. I did point them to the Patreon, so we got a bunch of new members on the Patreon that jumped in. So the good news there is we are now really close to getting our 86 Patreon members badge open. So we need like 3 or 4 people, maybe 5. But we're really, really close. So if you know anybody that's been on the fence about joining the Patreon, let them know the 86 might happen in the next week, because I'm going to try to promote that at Silicon Valley as well. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully right after we get back from Silicon Valley, on top of the third and final Tiki badge of the summer, I will also be able to offer the 86 badge at the same time as we prepare for the next batch of shows. Now, while we were driving and partying in Denver, you were at Costume College.
That's right.
Talk about Costume College. It's something I've never done, but I know a bunch of people who do it.
So, Costume College was fun. It was a blast. The idea is it's a convention for costumers. So there are a plethora of lectures and classes and such like. Some of them are limited and hands-on, and some of them are just, hey, let me just talk about this interesting subject. So I went to different talks about gloves and the history of gloves, the history of lace and what kinds of lace were available during what time periods. Hair, I love the hair classes. And all kinds of things. Just, it runs the gamut. Depends upon what you like. It actually starts Thursday night. I did not get there Thursday night. I was still working on my ball gown for the Saturday night party. More on that in a moment. So I got there Friday, and instead of taking classes, I relaxed in the hotel room with my very dear friend and weekend roommate while we finished our gowns. And
just a little last minute sewing.
A little bit. And we went to dinner, and then we went to the Friday evening event. They went in a new direction this time. They had like kind of a floor show sort of thing. The satin dolls were quite lovely. Everything else was like people who like, oh, look at this and look at that, and it's fine. I got junk food.
Well, you like junk food?
I like junk food. I got Good and Plenty because I love me some licorice. And I got, what else did I get? There was another thing, and I like it. Oh, Sugar Babies, they're cool. I should have gotten 2. No, I should have gotten 2 of the Good and Plenty because, again, licorice, yum. Anyway, the gown. So I've been a little group. We call ourselves Frocked Up. And we, for certain events, will create gowns that follow a theme. Like, for example, we have done, there's a Jane Austen tea and ball that happens in the early February every year. They start selling tickets in early November, and they sell out within like 10 minutes gone. So we were going to that, and we have done themed, like we all use Dupioni silk and black Chantilly lace. And then another year, we're going to use silk velvet and this particular striped fabric, all in different colorways. We're going to use sari fabrics. So yeah, they haven't been doing it for the last couple of years, but we've done other events like Costume College. Like last year, we did a theme of Mab, Queen of Air and Darkness. And we all did dark colors, cool colors, blues and blacks. And this year, we were doing decades of the late Victorian era. So I chose the 1880s, my 2 other friends, 1890s and 1900. So I bought a pattern on Etsy because I can do patterning, but I thought it would be so much easier if I either didn't have to do any work on the patterning or just a little work, adjust things here and there. And this was my first foray into the bustle. And this was the natural form bustle, meaning it made your butt look just a little bit bigger rather than hiding a farm animal behind your dress. Anyway. So yeah, I gave her my sizes before I left for Oregon, figuring it would get to me by the time I got back, because they're supposed to ship it. Ships in 3 to 5 business days, or 2 to 3, or I don't know. It wasn't back. So I waited a few more days until like 10 days after I'd given her my sizes to send her a message saying, when? I was like 2 weeks away from the event. Still nothing. And so mid the next week, that was on Friday, mid the next Wednesday, because I got a shipping notification. Hey, shipping notification. I opened the shipping notification. A label has been printed.
Oh, good.
So I kept waiting, and finally on Wednesday, that was on Sunday, and on Wednesday, I said, okay, so I got this notification of a label. So do you have the pattern, or does the post office? Because they seem to think they're still waiting for it. And she finally answered and she said, it's on its way. Your pattern is on its way. And, but I'm going to go ahead and share the files via Dropbox. And so I asked her some questions based on the files, because what the heck is a garniture? What piece of a... And yeah, so anyway, she couldn't answer all of the questions, but I figured it out pretty much. And Jason helped me print out the pieces. I was too exhausted after getting home from sewing on Saturday to start putting things together. So Sunday, I started tackling that. This is the Sunday before the event. So I taped them all together and realized the two of my pieces were not proportioned correctly. So I knew how much longer they needed to be. I had to mathematically figure out, therefore, how much wider they needed to be, and I had to change them. It ended up taking me, plus make some other pattern pieces, because this was just the basic and didn't include all of the details that were on the design. So I had to make a couple of other pattern pieces besides. It took me the whole day just to deal with the pattern. So I started cutting and sewing on Monday.
Ooh. It was basically, it looked like she, if you look at costume history books, you will often see replicas of patterns, which are really general. They just kind of trace out where the sewing was done. There's no detail to it. They don't tend to show you the inner linings, any kind of construction details. And it felt like she had basically taken one of those and blown it up.
Yeah.
I don't think she really graded the pattern to a specific size.
Theoretically, she did, using my measurements. The bodice, actually, that was what I was most concerned about, because for different eras, you know, the shaping's a little bit different. So I did a mock-up, and it was a little bit long, like through the shoulder, and a little bit wide through the chest.
But that implies that she scaled it, not graded it.
Right.
So she made it larger overall or smaller overall, but didn't adjust for personal dimensions.
Thank goodness I have a long torso.
So yeah, that seemed that as I was looking at the patterns as I was printing them out, there wasn't a lot of detail and there wasn't a lot of indication that she had done anything that implied computer grading, in my experience, or manual grading. From my experience, they probably were simply distorted pattern pieces.
And the happy news is, and that was something that concerned me when she couldn't answer all of my questions, like, what is this piece? How can you possibly size something if you don't know where something goes?
It'll work out in post.
So anyway, I only had to do minimum manipulation on the existing bodice pattern. And it only took me about 60 hours sum total to finish it, so.
Ruth doesn't sleep often.
A little tired, kind of perpetually. Okay, so Costume College was a blast. I went to the ball. People loved my dress, which was awesome when, you know, you're working like a mad, crazy person. Anyway, so brilliant time. I came back on Sunday evening and immediately started working on my next thing, which is GISH. GISH stands for the Greatest International Scavenger Hunt, and it's hosted by Misha Collins, who plays the Angel Castiel on the TV show Supernatural, and it's ridiculous and lots of fun. So you scavenge all these things, items, you create events, you do whatever, and you send either, you upload either pictorial or video evidence. And so, yeah. One of the clues that I followed was it gave like a combination of predominantly numbers, but a couple of letters thrown in. And then it said, "You, the carrot god, have summoned them." It led to Newport Beach and something known as Bunnyhenge.
Oh, yes. I am familiar with Bunnyhenge.
So
I've always wanted to go to Bunnyhenge dressed as a carrot and just stand in the middle of the circles. It's a sculpture that's giant rabbits looking in a circle, and I always kind of felt like they were about to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
So
I actually dressed in something kind of flowy and goddessy and took off my shoes for the picture, and I made a crown of carrots, and I had a little a recorder that I carved out of a carrot, kid you not, because that was one of the rules. Unfortunately, I didn't read the rule commandment closely enough. Carrots are not allowed unless they're a woodwind instrument. So my carrot recorder was dandy. I had to go back and do the photo shoot again because I had to lose the carrot crown.
Boo.
But the good news is it was evening. I found some lovely people to help me take the picture. The sky was turning pink. It was marvelous. So anyway, I spent up till like Saturday morning doing all these things, building a giant sock monkey with teams of other gishers, primal screaming, all of this crazy stuff.
She makes good life choices.
It was lots of fun. And yeah, all kinds of things. And then I went to Midsummer Night's Scream, and I spent my weekend doing Midsummer Scream.
So ironically, Midsummer Scream is a horror-themed, Halloween-themed convention that happens like 4 blocks away from here at the Long Beach Convention Center that we don't get to go to because they decided to move it into conflict with Gen Con. So the last couple of years, I haven't been able to go to it. We thought about vending at it right before they changed their dates, and we're not in town anymore. So we have not gone. We didn't go last year. We did not get to go this year. How was it this year?
It was pretty fun.
Did it seem like it had grown?
It was massive.
Oh, good.
Massive. I don't know how they're going to be able to stay in that venue if they keep growing. So yeah.
It seemed I went the first year it was at Long Beach. Actually, the first year it was created.
Yep.
And it was created at kind of a last minute thing because there was a schism in another show and part of the group moved and rebuilt. And so for a first year, like 5 months out show, they did a great job. And then we went to the second year
and I went with you guys.
Yeah, that's when we went together. We had a great time. It was a neat show. And then the third year, they moved it to where I'm not in town and I don't get to enjoy it anymore, even though it's a local show.
Yeah.
So, and we've mentioned this number of times, the con scheduling becomes a real challenge because it seems like everybody gravitates to the same time of year. And then a lot of shows kind of think that, oh, well, we're fine because there's nothing in town that week, and not realizing that people travel. So it not being like next door isn't the same as, 2 shows at the same time with the same theme or a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
So that's great. I'm happy that Midsummer Scream is continuing to grow.
And as soon as the weekend ended, I started sewing in a mad frenzy for Labyrinth of Jareth Ball, which is next weekend. So I only have 4 costumes to do for that before.
We're lucky to have her here working on fezzes. So for us, we did our 4 days at Gen Con. It was a good year. I think we topped last year's numbers. Not what we did for the 50th anniversary because the show was massive that year. But we're still kind of on a good trajectory from the non-anniversary show. So it was a good show for us. We did not bring nearly as many fezzes to Gen Con as we have in the past. And that was mostly just because we've been so busy with the shows that we've had have been selling really well. June was insane with the Sons of the Desert and the Pride Fezzes. So production has been kind of really busy. So we just did not have the bulk of fezzes that we would normally have. Typically, we'd be selling damn near nothing on the website for June and July. And we're just making fezzes for Gen Con. But this year, that was a record year for June. And a lot of fezzes had to be made for orders that meant we weren't making them for the show. So I'm really happy with how we did at Gen Con, considering the outside forces. So it was a good week, a long drive back, and 4 more days of getting home, stopping in every night. And
Carousel?
Yes, we did stop at the Carousel both out and back. For those of you who are not aware, there is a carousel in the eastern part of Colorado, the Kit Carson County Carousel. It is a 1905 carousel. It is about 90 to 95% original paint. It's got the original motor running it. It's got a Wurlitzer band organ that's set up inside of it. It is amazing. And the really cool thing is we go on the way out, we ride it twice. They run it in a half hour. So we'll ride it, take a lunch break, eat some snacks, ride it again before we jump back in the car for another 5-hour drive. On the way back, we were the only people there for the first ride. And because we've been going there twice a year, out and back every summer, the guy giving us the ride knew that we had already seen all of their presentations and given the history. And he asked, well, did the last person tell you about this? And we're like, yeah. Okay, so you pretty much heard all of it. So since it's just the two of you, let's go inside the carousel and look at the motors. So we got to go inside the carousel and look at the way this thing runs. And it's crazy how simple it is. Massive, like 3-4 inch leather belts that turn the wheels, and how the gearing works on it and the grip. On the inside, so the whole thing's kind of built out of oil painting canvases. On the inside, you can see where everybody who's worked on the carousel has signed it since 1905. Actually, before 1905, since it was being built, there was like a one signature there that had the dates of like 1901 on it. This carousel is amazing. I can't imagine there's anything that can compare to it. It's the number 6 carousel from the what was it? The Philadelphia Toboggan Company. So the PTC carousel. It was one of the last stationary carousels. So the horses don't go up and down. It just spins, and it spins at 12 miles an hour, which is a little scary. It's a menagerie, so there's only some horses. It's lions and tigers. It's got giraffes. I don't know if there was a bear. I didn't check to see if there was a bear. There's a hippocampus. There is the giraffe, which is insanely tall. Goats, all sorts of different animals. It's really cool. Massive dog. And the really interesting thing about it was built for the Eldridge family in Denver. They have an amusement park. They still have this old amusement park. And when the agent went out to get it, he handpicked the animals. Oh. So it has the menagerie from the number 6 carousel. Number 7 and number 8, the animals were already carved. So this guy showed up and handpicked all of the animals, his favorites, from 6, 7, and 8. So he has the hero from number 6, which is the lion, and the hero animal from number 8, I believe, which was a giant dog. So this thing is insane. I love going there, and it's in the middle of nothing in Colorado, about 2 hours, 45 minutes east of Denver, but well worth the trek. It's one of those amazing things to see in person. And I would love to do like a Fez meetup there and get a photograph of just fill the thing with people.
Random slight thought, Bunny, tangent. What I would love to see is something like a horror themed but very serious carousel with carved critters like a werewolf and a chupacabra.
Funny you should say that, because like 20 years ago, our friend Troy designed one of those. So it's never been built that I'm aware of.
So I have to play the long.
But yeah, seriously. Or we just need to start carving, because Troy came up with a Nightmare Ground kind of thing ages ago and was designing monsters for it. So it would be a dream come true. And after seeing how they built these old ones, it's insanely easy. As far as the mechanics on this one, I wouldn't really know about the safety aspects of it.
Safety.
But yes, we did get to go. I did shoot some video while I was there, so I will edit a short video. I'm experimenting with the way I'm gonna do the next this Gen Con video and try to do something really condensed. I didn't shoot a lot of video while I was there. Gen Con was wall-to-wall people most of the time. So it was literally like scenarios where if I shot video, it would just be backs of bodies. You wouldn't be able to see anything. So I really didn't get a chance to shoot anything good in the con itself. But I can piece together a video of the entire trip. And I plan to do that in the next couple of days, depending on how much time I have after making Fezes.
Excellent.
So yeah, so we got back. We are alive. Maya got a little con crud on the way back, but she's feeling better. I seem to have dodged it. The secret there that I discovered at Gen Con is don't use the restrooms on the con floor. They're just dangerous with people. We were really close to a restroom, but I know a little secret walkway to go up past some convention rooms into the hotel across the street. And their restrooms were nice and clean and quiet. So I would just go for a walk every time I needed to use the restroom and avoid the coughing people in the bathrooms. So I think that's why Maya got sick, was she was using
the con restroom.
The con restroom. But of course, wash your hands and stay away from people is always my suggestion. So yeah, we're back. We're alive, and we are working towards getting ready for this Silicon Valley show. Ruth, you're doing the Labyrinth event, so she will not be with us next week.
Exactly.
But we will be hanging out with the Fezzarati member Chris, who is watching live right now.
Exactly.
Hi, Chris. And his wife Maria, and we will be visiting a lot of our Bay Area friends. So, oh yes, and Ryan is going to be working with us. We got another old friend of ours. So we'll be hanging out in the Bay Area this coming week and doing that kind of smallish Comic-Con show, and then we'll be back. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to get to, but the key things that we're talking about right now, Interroster Fezzes, only the Patreon members have access to pre-ordering those. We will be working on getting those done. I'm working on restocking the Interrosters for the show. But I'm going to hold off on getting the next badges up, see what happens with the 86 badge, see if we can't get that going. And then when we get back, I can work on some of the new stuff that I want to do for the Patreon. So that is pretty much where we're at. It's going to be a big weekend of sewing. Joe's coming up on Sunday, so I can help. He can help me prep the booth for the next show, rebuild the booth out for a smaller space. And he's going to collect all the fezzes that will be getting shipped out. And that's pretty much where we are. Once again, I probably won't be able to do much of a video for next week, so we kind of wanted to cover everything today. I think I have. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to talk about. Not really. So thank you so much for tuning in on this little thing. We will get back to regular weekly updates after our next show. And like I said, we'll be back for 3 weeks or so, and then we have a small weekender show, and then it pops back and forth a couple of times. So we will be seeing you guys a lot online. Remember, if you are a member of the Fezthusiast or Fezzarati levels, you can join us on the Discord channels. All you have to do is add your Discord credentials to your Patreon membership. So if you go into your Patreon account, there's a space for Discord, and you can add that in there. That gives you access to our chat pages where we do occasionally jump on and chat about ideas and stuff. A couple things that happened over the course of Gen Con that could be fun. One, we came up with an idea for a ridiculous mini game that I may just have to do. It's a silly card game idea that stemmed out of making fun of Paige not being able to remember an actor's name. And number two, discovered that both Paige and Matt, who were helping us in the booth, have been playing Minecraft just on their own, which has led me to decide that I really need to put together a Minecraft server so that people can get together on the Minecraft server and pretend that they're actually socializing in real time in the same space, because I never get to see these people outside of those shows. And we won't be able to see, we'll see Matt and Paige in April at their wedding, but I don't think they're able to do any shows next year, so I probably won't see them much beyond that. So those are a couple things that we're talking about that we've kind of new ideas that we're working on and things we're chatting about on the Discord channel. And I also will post stuff I'm working on and chat about what we're doing and heads up on video posts and things like that on Discord, because that's a really easy place for us to chat. So again, if you are a member of Fezthusiast or above, you can be on the Discord channel. If you are just in the Fez Curious, that's a consideration if you want to bump up your level and join us on the Discord. And that is pretty much all I can think of right now.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of your enthusiasm and support out there. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next time. So thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boop.
Chris called me a mad woman. He's right.